expanded further, Chairman in his opening remark has also said that it is not just about using technology, it's also about having the skills, the human part of it, having that kind of transformation at the organization level. So therefore, work design all this. So because of that, so we would like to expand. I mean, on my part, I certainly feel that because I am personally involved very actively in this field, in this industry, combining AI and various industry. So therefore, in this keynote, I would like to just basically use a lot of my personal experiences. So that the background is this: I'm very active in the Young President organization, even though I'm just young at heart. YPO is a global CEO organization with about 38,000 CEO members around the world. And I'm one of the key leader at a global scale. So we realized that in the last 2 years, AI always appeared in all the topics of discussion, all without exception. Secondly, the excitement, the eagerness, the anxiety are all appearing in the thoughts, in what the leaders are thinking about. Why is it so? Because we all want to see how to actually ride on the AI wave. So as a responsible leader to our organization, we all want to see that how we can continue to move ahead. If not, we may be left behind. All right? So that is more like where I kind of get a lot of experiences from many peers from the region, from around the world. And in fact, for retail industry, I'm aware that in the context of YPO, retail industry, likewise hospitality, there is this very dedicated workshop, which is like 2 weeks for CEOs. It's not for like just any workers, because the leaders must change. The leaders must realize. The leaders must act. Then only organization can move. Because of that, then I can see very significant kind of progress. There's one phenomenon, it's called FOMO. Everyone knows FOMO? Fear of missing out, right? So we say, okay, you use, then people start to kind of check out, how do you use AI? Oh, they say, okay, I read lobster. You know lobster? You know lobster? You like lobster? In China, it's hongxia, that means it's lobster. But actually, because it is the deployment of open claw, so much so that people start to compare, like, oh, how many lobster you have? Oh, I have 3. One for external, one for internal, one for personal. And the other one said, oh, I have only 2. So the FOMO is that I must actually deploy more. So we come to that, the Agentic AI, that has become like a super duper companion, almost like a co-CEO of an organization. If you're a department head, it's almost like a co-department head of the organization, so that you can manage, right? This is what I observe among peers who are forward-looking. Next slide, please. So with that background, I'd like to share just very recently in about 2-3 weeks ago, one of my companies wanted to participate in a tender, government tender, and the tender was very well crafted. A lot of technical specs, and it's also quite a technical kind of equipment that's required. All right, Malaysia don't produce this kind of thing. So because of that, then there's a need to source from overseas. And I do have a lot of strength with China. Because in the YPO that I described, there are also like, I'm also the chairman for the China Business Network that has 3,300 CEO members. So naturally, I also tap into some of those human network in order to source for this kind of technology? Indeed, yes, there are multiple sources. Then in our company, we say, okay, how do we actually participate in this standard? Because it's very new to us. Suppliers are also new to us. And then who can service this equipment is also new to us. So therefore, we say, okay, now let's deploy 100 people to go and check out the market information in the form of Agentic AI. What we did was this. We put the tender spec as a data reference point. Then we actually set how to actually go to all the, do a search on this product name and who are the players that come out there, check out the company background, check out the products, check out whether they have service centers in Malaysia, all this information, and map against the tender spec. And also our suppliers, again map that, and then list out all the locations that have service centers, right, from all these sources. Of course, before using whatever technology that I talked about, we have to do a very kind of real human thinking to scope up. But I just learned from my partner, Esther, that in fact, even scoping also we can deploy AI. Yeah, because that scoping is about asking the right question, right? How do we position ourselves here? Do we want to kind of get presence? Do we want to build brand? Do we want to actually compete on price? These are the different questions that we need to ask ourselves in order to position ourselves, right? Now, this where we did it in a human manner, define all these things, then only deploy AI. After 4 hours of human thinking, human discussion, human brainstorming, and then AI took 45 minutes, get all this information, tabulate and produce about 3.5 pages of report with the information that we want. Competitive information, service centers, specs, compliance, all this. Then, we took 2 weeks to prepare for the tender, but it looks like in a day, we already have almost all the information laid out already. So that by itself, normally I really have to deploy many people to check out different dealers, check out different distributors, talk to them, find out what do they have and so on. But all these are totally already done through Agentic AI. So that gives me that very strong aha moment. Say now, if this is something that we are so hard pressed to kind of tend to, if you can do this and do this, not only like Remy or Chinchai, we do this well, that means there are many other areas that we can do it well as well. Right? So that leads us, I have a reason why I say we spend 4 hours before using the AI technology for 45 minutes. Right? Because otherwise we would have to spend like 40 days to get all this information. Right? Next slide, please. Now, I think this keynote in the remaining minutes, I just want to kind of give us a picture. We compressed the time over the last 100 years. So we can say that, okay, to simplify, we say the previous work, it was manual. We may use computer to kind of store information, kind of do some whatever charts and so all this for us. That's still manual because we still have to do all the thinking, we still have to define everything, right? That's like a very simple way of getting things done, but largely manual. Then we may say phase 2, because phase 2 was very near, last 2 years. It was AI assisted, and therefore a lot of people say it was AI 1.0. Okay. AI 1.0 indeed the productivity gain. In fact, from some of the reports that we have been kind of gathering, it seems to have a 14 to 35% increase in productivity, right? Because our Mr. Samso will have a lot of information being the brain, our human brain of Malaysia National AI Office. But this is a kind of collective data of which it is available. But this again, it quickly becomes outdated because we are moving into the phase 3. Phase 3 is about how we think about like the scenario of the tender just now, right? How do I imagine that I have personally 100 people as my teammate that will actually work for me? I set the goal, they even do the thinking, they define the task, they execute in order to achieve the goal that I set. Then I just take responsibility for outcome. Right? So this is phase 3. And we are going to talk a little bit more about phase 3 in the subsequent few more slides. Next. Next slide, please. So right now, in many organizations, we have a dilemma because as a leader, we say, okay, if I have 100 people in my organization, does it mean that 100 people, each one have 100 agents or 100 robots? So that means I have 10,000 people. The answer can be yes, can be no. Why is it yes? Why is it no? It depends on our readiness. Next slide. So what do we mean by readiness? Again, go to some statistic. The Korn Ferry, one of the world's largest headhunter company, recruitment company, talent company, they call it. They say that we are having a projection of shortage of 85 million skilled AI workforce by 2030. So that means every year shortfall. So that is Korn Ferry's number. But if you look at reskilling, the World Economic Forum, the future of jobs, recognizes that in the next 5 years, 60% of jobs are expected to significantly change. But then, less than 20% of the companies have their workforce trained on AI. That's also the early training, still very much on 1.0. But even 1.0, we have not even caught up yet. Right? This is actually from World Economic Forum. And then, closer to home, in ASEAN, of course, is in the context of Asian as well. 45% of the ASEAN companies have tested AI. This is from AWS. So you know that from Amazon, they did this survey, but they say, but less than 20% of them have seen some real results, showing the major gaps in the skills and application. All right. So hence we begin to question ourselves: readiness. Are we ready? And what's the meaning of readiness? Next slide. In fact, a lot of people, not because they don't want to get ready. We are all leaders in this room, right? We often ask ourselves, what is the meaning of being ready? Is there a definition? Ready means what? So, hence, we are trapped in that productivity paradox. Why? Because now we have the super fighter jet. Alright, you may call it whatever the number. That's super duper. That's 21st century intelligent tool. However, are we using the 21st century mindset as well as skill set. The finding from the earlier statistics shows that most of the mindset and skill set, because it is still thinking of a manual, still thinking about AI as a tool, not as a teammate. It's not my partner, it's my tool. Because of that mindset and skill set, we kind of demonstrated weak thinking. And weak thinking means weak AI output. So then, hence, it gives us a bit of glimpse about where is the source of that productivity paradox. So how do we reinvest our time? Especially if you just now, because we save using AI, right? In an example of tender, within 2 days we can complete the whole tender, even with 14 days. So does it mean we just sit down, lay up, go and drink coffee every morning, every afternoon, every evening, and do nothing else? No. Then we begin to look at, first of all, how do we actually replicate these capabilities in many other things that we're doing? Right? Otherwise, our time is wasted. If we don't, then it means that we have wasted our time. And therefore, productivity will not increase because 14 days pass. And there's only one major goal that we have accomplished, not multiple goals that otherwise would have been accomplished. So hence, productivity remain stagnant. That we see to be one very, very important root cause of the productivity paradox. Yes, reminder to conclude in 3 minutes. Let's move on to the next slide, please. So in addressing the AI 2.0, of which we have this powerful 21st century agentic AI tool or AI partner, then we need a 21st century mindset and skill set. And what does it mean? The first one is to be truly human. Because quite often when we are awake, we may not be aware of our thinking, aware of our feeling, aware of what we are doing. When we are able to be aware of our thinking, then we see, okay, whether do we set this goal? Is this the right goal? We ask ourselves, we challenge ourselves. So because of that, that is part and parcel of the critical thinking. And that becomes bringing the human assessment into the whole equation. Be aware of our thinking. Be aware of our feelings so that there's this social, emotional skills. We are aware of how other people feel. So then that's where empathy comes in. And it is very important in marketing, in customer service, in the management of the people. Quite often, if we are not able to be aware, then we just look at it from our angle, our lens. Right? And quite often, it can be counterproductive. And then, aware of what we are doing means to be efficient. Do we do things right? Aware of thinking is whether we do the right thing and whether we do the things right. It's about effectiveness and also efficiency. So with that, that is a very big part of the human 2.0 to kind of boost the human capabilities. Then second one is actually take ownership. Quite often we say we leave it to AI, or if you come across something in my context, I also use quite often Gemini, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, all this are like 1.0 usage. Right? I just ask a question. If I come across any kind of question, I just ask a question. And then I find that very quickly, the answer came back, it's intelligent answer. However, it comes to the next few questions. Do you want me to elaborate on this? Do you want me to elaborate on that? Do you want me to take it to this direction? So I was led into that instead of me leading. So because of that, it is very easy to fall into the trap of AI leading me rather than I lead the AI. Alright? So because of that, I do not take ownership. the ownership is left to AI. AI say like this, I follow lah. The next question, AI say like this, I follow. So then eventually I lost myself. I cannot be responsible because it's no longer my wish, it's no longer my goal, it's what AI wanted to achieve. That becomes a very dangerous path. So humanity 2.0 means that we take ownership, we take the responsibility of outcome, we set the goals very clearly, alright? Next 2-3 slides is that if we don't do that, then there's this, two groups of people for simplistic analogy. One actually developed humanity 2.0 with meta-cognition, that means be aware and take ownership. The other one is like still leopard, drink coffee nowadays. This actually one you see like not only boost in the productivity gain, is likely to be exponential in productivity. Whereas the other one, because you accomplish one task and you finish, so then productivity gain is like negligible. So there's this divide. We must be aware of that divide that is quickly happening. And in order to overcome that, as a conclusion, to kind of let all of us take hold with something useful, I hope. Next slide. Oh, okay. Number one, let everyone try it out in a safe environment. Safe means what? Don't punish them. We, as a leader, we want to have patience. We want to let people learn. Have some failure, and then let them have a chance to relearn, because that's also a very important way to learn. Through maybe making some mistake, experimenting with some undesirable situation, all right? They feel safe, then they're willing to try, and they try more, they use more. Secondly, is to cultivate growth mindset. That because technology improvement is so fast, we must grow as human. The growth mindset, what are those new skill set, new capabilities, we want to have the attitude to do that. The third one is what Chairman has said at a very early stage, that is not just about technology. It's about how do we redesign the work, redesign the organization. So with the time that is given to us, we act in a capacity as a leader, redesign our life, redesign our work, redesign our organization. So that's all that I have, and I've actually taken more than allocated time. I hope that everyone has value out of this keynote session, and I wish that you excel in the humanity 2.0 so that productivity 2.0 with AI 2.0 becomes a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, on stage for the token of appreciation, and I'd like to invite Dr. Kamara Zaman to deliver the token of appreciation to Dato Wei. Please welcome.